Andrew, how's it? This morning we just touched base around your team, your vision, and how to get there as quickly as possible. And one of the things that I know about stars and creator profiles is that they really are focusing on the end result. They want stuff to happen, they want stuff to get done, and they want to make sure that the stuff done is actually going to be in line with the bigger vision, and obviously just see the bottom result, which is growth, profits, and of course sustainability, right? And especially if we as a star profile, creating the right team around you that can implement your vision for you such that you can stay there in that process of creating and connecting and growing is going to be absolutely critical, because without that, of course, you're just going to get sucked straight back into the business, and that's just so not going to be in your flow. You're going to be demotivated, demoralized, and of course, it's just not going to roll out in the way that is possible. And the other thing that I know about the star profiles is they're really quick on their feet, which means there's the ability to actually just chop and change at short notice and to reposition, redirect. And that process is incredibly important for you, right? I mean, you want to know that you can actually pivot, that you can bring in, that you can adapt, especially, I mean, COVID has just shown how you've had to absolutely change the direction of your company literally overnight. And the most important thing about that is your team that may happen, needs to know that that is possible, and of course to support you in that, such that you can take advantage of those opportunities that are coming down the line. Now you know that, and of course we want to build that team around you that knows that and is okay with that, and of course there's good communication between you and them in how to implement that. And if those things are in place, then you achieving all those goals and dreams of yours becomes so much more of a reality. And that's my experience of working with stars. As I mentioned, I've got stars around the world that I'm working with that are all doing the same kind of thing, which is how do I grow my company, grow my business, increase my pricing, tap into more of the passive income, and of course, make a massive difference to the lives of the people out there. Remember, the star is so keen to do that. They want to increase the most amount of people in the quickest amount of way, but they want to do it by having their own personal touch with them. In other words, they want to know that they've made a difference in the lives of those people. Doesn't mean that you have to do one-on-one work with them. Doesn't mean you have to have spoken to them personally, but you want to know that your legacy that you're leaving with them is that you have changed their lives and you have created the possibility of financial freedom for them, or for a different way of life, or a better education for their child. If all of those things come together, then the star feels like this is amazing. And I do believe that this is what you are currently doing. I feel that it underpins your drive, even though you might say retirement. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that your whole business is providing on all those levels, your financial freedom, your financial fulfillment, and of course, at the same time that it's being done through a way that changes people's lives. It makes a difference. So that's where I'm coming from in my work with all of my clients, and of course, in what I see as the vision for Sappin and for you personally. Otherwise, I would not have invested my own time and effort in partnering and in supporting the work that you're doing, because there's that part of me which also loves to belong to companies that I resonate with and that actually are going in the direction that I like, and also have the ethics, the values, and have fun while obviously, making money at the same time. So that's really where I'm coming from. So in our conversation, I've been thinking of the best way to do this. And of course, there's the small kind of vision and goals. And of course, there's the big vision and goals. And, for us is to decide, where do we want to go? How do we want to make this work? And how do we make this as easy for you as possible? Like I said, I know that the stars at the end of the day want shit done. They want it done properly, and they want it done in the best way so that they can just stay focused on that big picture for them. So there are probably about 2 or 3 different phases. I'm going to just also share the screen with you to show you what it is that I'm sending you via email. So you've also got that in writing around what I see as the different stages or possible different phases of how this could look for you. The first part is the one which I'm going to focus on at the moment, because I do believe that, this is all about results. I only work with people, like actually you mentioned, with the clients that you want to work to, where I know that they're going to be results, where the people are motivated, where they're going to put the self-discipline in place, and they're going to actually listen to the advice or the strategies and actually resonate with them and work forward. Otherwise, we just end up talking and no action, and that's just not going to happen and not produce anything, right? So the first stage for me is really about kind of like currently knowing where you are, who your team is, and what you can expect from them. So as I said here, it's like know thyself and their team. And I do see that there are 3 core groups, maybe 4, but 3 core groups that I believe we want to know who they are, what their profiles are, and how you can unlock their profiles to work for you in such a way that you're going to accelerate that growth and success that you're wanting. The first one is your core team. So these are the ones that are kind of like your executive team, because you want to know how far you can push, what you can push, where you can push, and what to expect. So this would be all of your executive team, Michelle, Dave, and some of the other ones who you're working with on like a daily basis. Even Simone, if I understand, she's in that core team. And we want to know who they are, where they're at, what their strengths are, and where you're missing in that dynamic, right? And that's going to be really important. The second core team is obviously your shareholders, because these are the people that you're accountable to, that have a vested interest in this. And what we want to do is, I always say, it's like that secret sauce. And how do we get them to support and work for you, as opposed to you having to always defend or explain or reposition with them, right? Like motivate them that you want to take the company here, but it's such hard work to bring them along. So I feel once we know their hot buttons, right? Which is once we know their profiles, we will know how to use that insight to actually get them to be on your side the whole time, which just makes your life so much easier, because that means that you can take this company where you want to go and ensure that they're fully supporting you and are feeling that they are getting what they want as well at the same time. That's the benefit, right? We want the win-win for both. And when we know their profiles, then we can move into that with them and make sure that happens. The third one would be your service providers. Because as you grow in this company, you're going to be relying more and more on other people's ideas, services, products, such as your other e-coaches, right? Your coaches, people who are creating courses, whether it's me or whether it's other people who are doing courses for you, whether you're relying on the brokering with Bruno, all these different things. We want to know their profiles, because each profile is going to highlight certain risks or highlight certain advantages. And it's best that you know exactly where people are at, so that you can mitigate all of that to ensure the greater success of your company, and you spending more time on growing than on trying to repair and fix. In that group, I would also suggest the kind of periphery people. So whether this is now people like Christian Janssen or any other people out there who are more secondary, in other words, they're like on the periphery team, not directly involved, but they might be doing some kind of project or something else. We want to know that. So again, we can understand where they're at and how to make it work. In that, we also want to know who are those kind of supporter profiles who can help you rapidly expand your business, because that's what a supporter does. Supporter is really networked and can connect you to people that you're really wanting to connect with. So once we know people's strategies, we can know who to approach, who to ask certain questions at, and you'll be surprised at how quickly you can actually get what you're wanting and where you're wanting to go by having these insights, right? And that is what I see as stage one. It's for you and me to sit down. We test all of these different people, perhaps up to 20 different people. We map them out. We look at where they are. We look at what they're currently doing in relation to what you're building. And then you and I have 3 separate sessions. So each session deals specifically with that group of people, so that we can really understand it, encapsulate it, and of course, come to understand what it is that you're wanting out of that group and how you can position it to really kind of get that secret ingredient that will allow you to really create magic with them, because now you've got that insight, and the direction of how you interact with them and deal with them is going to be really powerful. So those 3 is, for me, what would be the first phase. Out of that, at the end of that, you will really get to know, one, who you are and who you want to be in relation to these people, but secondly, how you can get what you're wanting out of those different groups. And that is so important to this, because for me, everything is about the win-win, but the win-win happens so much easier if you know what you're wanting and how you can get what you're wanting from other people in such a way that they're doing what they're also wanting, but at the same time, you're receiving the benefit of that. And I think at this stage, this is very much what it is. You know, this is a big vision that you've got, but at the same time, everyone knows that you are the primary driver of it. It's positioned in Facebook like that. That's perfect for the growth, the startup growth of the company. That's happening. And as you've said, you're wanting to start leveraging that off or phasing it off, so that it now becomes a company and not just Andrew. But Andrew, make no mistake that as a star profile, you also need to feel that value and feel that significance that you're making a difference. That's the difference between you and Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is so focused on just the product and the company, but never underestimate that there's a part of you which really also loves that recognition and acknowledgement. And part of what we're creating and dealing with here is to make sure that you don't convince yourself that that's not appropriate or that's not what is needed to grow the company. The next part of that vision, once we've done all that, we can then start to look at, okay, so what do we do with this information now? We now know where your team is. We know who's there. We can see where the gaps. How do we fill those gaps, reposition some of those team members so that it's more effective, more efficient, greater impact, better use of their time and energy, better use of their strengths? And how do we really maximize that to get where you want to get to quicker, like that acceleration, right? Also, this will be tying into then, what are the projects that you're wanting to work on? How do we further delegate that out in a way that actually is really smart and constructive? And of course, this is really going to open up that way where I've said to you around, how do we actually create this and position and communicate it so that you are given the permission and the go-ahead to really drive the growth of this company, right? Whereas before they might say, there goes Andrew again, creating this and just changing his mind, as opposed to we're saying, Andrew, please go out there and create this and bring us new clients and bring us new growth. That's how we can position it through our communication. We chatted a bit about this, and I said to you, I said, now you finally got the power of what this could be, is it just repositions this. And this is what, for me, I would probably say one of my best skills at is unlocking, understanding, repositioning, and creating a different perspective of someone in someone else's eyes so that someone sees this in a different context, in a different situation. That I had to totally master in all of my education and schooling process when I had to deal with parents. Remember, now I've got conflict with parents and teachers with the board and shareholders and a whole lot of stuff. And I had to continuously be incredibly tactful and incredibly smart in repositioning each other's perspectives and strengths in such a way that we could see that all of this together, all of this difference, all of the different ways in which we handle things actually come together very powerfully and actually are positive in a support. But it required for me to very carefully position each person's point of view in such a way that someone could celebrate the differences as opposed to feel negative about it, right? And that for me, I think, is really going to be part of that second phase, which is, okay, what do we do with this now? How do we build it? And how do we make that work? Okay, the third part for me is part of that exciting part, which I know that for you is just so exciting as well, which is, okay, so what are the untapped areas? What is the new growth, the new opportunities? And how do you position and create those in really clever strategies? Who are the people you can align with? What are the kind of partnerships that you're looking to find and to work with so that you can get where you want to get to quicker? So this is really around knowing who those people are out there. Obviously, connecting with them is not a problem for you, but it's strategic in knowing who do we want to go for, who do we want to connect with so that it further gives you the range that you're looking to impact on. Remember, creating impact and being significant on people's lives means you have to be out there to make a difference, right? So there are a whole lot of those kinds of things which we can look at and how to master and to connect and coordinate with so that you can just stay in that amazing space of flow. So those are the kind of 3 different phases and strategies that I see, as you can see. I suggest at this stage, we just look at phase 1, which is the testing of your team. I sit with you for those 3 sessions and we really just unlock what this looks like for you. From my side, at the end of that, you will know if I am someone that you actually want to work with, that you will know if I am the person who can actually unlock some of that potential inside of you and to guide you and support you in avoiding some of those hectic risks that stars sometimes have because they don't pay attention to the detail. They often over exaggerate what their team can produce for them, or they get very frustrated if it's not done quick enough. So there are a whole lot of things that we want to make sure don't create bottlenecks in this organization and the implementation of your vision. And based on that, you'll be able to say, listen, this is great, let's carry on to phase 2 or phase 3, or it's like this is you've got what you needed and you've got enough of the leeway to make it work on your own. So from my side, I have a vested interest in this process. So for phase 1, we go for 29,997. There's the 997, as you know. We love doing that one. So call it 30K. And that is really for me to sit down to unlock the profiles of people who are doing the test, to sit there and to map them for you. And then, of course, to sit with you one-on-one and actually go through their profiles so that I can unlock them for you. And we can actually start tying this into those different groupings. Remember, we're talking about your core team, how to get the most out of them. Shareholders, how to make sure that they're on board with you and keep supporting you, and how you deliver your progress to them so that they keep supporting you. And of course, the third one is all the service providers and how to make that work. So that is excluding the actual tests, right? Because the test itself is a whole different cost. But what I want to do in this scenario, like I said, I've got a vested interest, and of course I want to carry on working with you. So I want to make this, real, like a no-brainer for you. I'm going to do all of the tests, up to 20 people. We'll do that just for free. In other words, we pay the 30 grand for me and you to sit down and spend time, and for me just to have collateral and information for you, and then to present it for you and to work through that with you in 3 separate sessions. And then I'll just throw in all those tests as well, as part of that, as opposed to, as you know, charging you a whole lot of the money for the tests, which is actually what they are. I mean, you can go do the tests. You can buy them if you're wanting to. They're $97 just for the test alone. But in this case, what I'm going to do is, like I said, if we just go with those 3 sessions, we go with all that other information that I'm sharing, then, based on that, I'll bring in all the tests for free. After that, like I said, you can assess and say, hey, this is really great. I'm liking this. I want to know more about how to now fill those gaps, build a team, create the vision, unlock all of that. Then we can discuss how that looks moving forward. But at this stage, I want you to really understand who your team is. And more importantly, I want you to know how you can unlock their potential, because when they're performing, you're going to absolutely fly. And I think that's where this all lies. So let me know what you think. It's really simple for me. Like I said, once you give us the go-ahead, then for me, it's just a very simple process of I will then coordinate with one of your team members, whether it's with Dave or whoever else, get everyone to have their links. I'll make sure that they're all doing the test. I'll make sure we've got clarity on their profile types. I'll make sure that all of that is sorted. So literally, you just have to book a call with me and say, let's look at group 1. And then we go through that, and let's look at group 2. And in that, I will obviously give you as well all of the summaries of their profiles. I'll show you how they're all going to interlink. We'll put them on a graph and actually show that this is where all these people sit. This is where this sits. So you'll actually really get a sense of, like, is my company top heavy or where is it? And of course, you're going to see those gaps of where they're missing, right? And then we can discuss that. So let me know how we can do that. We can get going at ASAP. As soon as you want, we can sort that out. And of course, we can make that happen. So let me know if you've got any questions. It'd be great to unlock this. I think it's incredibly exciting. I want to get into the bigger picture stuff that you've been mentioning, because I think there's such scope there. And I think you have laid the foundation to build on that. And all you're needing now is 2 things, which is the right strategy to get there and the right way to avoid those risks, which can also come with the pace at which you're wanting to get there, right? Because that's always going to be the secondary challenge, is you want to get there so quickly. Sometimes you forget to bring people along with you, and sometimes it's the detail which therefore you pay for later on. But in this case, we can figure out how to avoid that by putting in place the correct things right at the beginning. So let me know. Look forward to chatting to you and hope we can get onto this soon. Good.